you've got to throw some cold water on this situation. Start talking about nerd stuff.
You know, nerd culture is mainstream now, so when you use the word nerd derogatorily, it means you're the one that's out of the zeitgeist.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will.
System activate.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins. It's a tech podcast. But we are a ton cooler than your typical geek.
You guys rock.
And now, here's Will.
Yeah, believe it or not, I am here. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Another edition of NetHeads. Kind of. My name's Will. Sitting here all alone on Twitch, just kind of giving a sheltered-in perspective, I guess, is all that I'm doing. Been quite an interesting couple of hours and days. Obviously, for everybody. Here in California, of course, things are a little bit, I don't want to say more fluid than others, but they are definitely more interesting than some parts of the country, not necessarily others. Obviously, New York is equally being hit. So interesting times. You know, I already mentioned previously that I had actually already on Saturday, I made a Costco run. In order to just stock up on some things and make sure I had a freezer full of food, various meats, 2 different style of mixed vegetables, rice cauliflower, all these kind of things. Threw those into the mix. Also, several bags of frozen berries and, other little simple staples. Just something to know that should I have any need to go out and go to the grocery store, it would be minimal. It would be for fresh groceries if I had to. So we did that, and I admit I've made like 1 or 2 small grocery trips since then to get a refresh on some fresh produce, but always taking specific precautions now. First of all, I am way more than aware of how many times I do touch my face now. I know that I have been guilty at least once, always once, of in touching my face, realizing it, and then having a mild panic about it, and then just realizing, okay, well, don't do that again, because now, if I were to have it, I've given myself the ability to transmit it on my hand. If I don't have it, I had given myself the ability to get it because I touched my face. All the fun stuff that's going on. And so I've done 2 trips, and then today, earlier in the day, I was not feeling well, so I had to phone out of work, which thankfully, for as many people as possible, the instructions are to work from home, which is obviously logical, but then there are implications. Like I work for a team that's very remote, so you've got a concentration of people in some offices and then at least 2 people in a remote location. So now you're talking about everybody just on my team being remote via home, and now everyone in the company having meetings the exact same way, utilizing WebEx or conference calls. And, we used to be, we at least had the benefit of looking each other in the face using video conferencing, but now because of concerns about network infrastructure, now just doing video conferencing is generally not something to be done. So that way we're not clogging up a network. Makes perfect sense to me. But today, of course, we here in Northern California got the very interesting news that we are essentially in as of midnight tonight, a shelter-in-place effective order. Don't go out unless it's essential. By the way, since I don't have a co-host and because he thought I must have said Vector, we do have the Vector cam in the background. Vector is joining us. Hey, Vector. Explore. Let's get him wandering around so that way he at least provides a little visual stimulus as well. My little, my fancy little pet robot. Which, by the way, interestingly enough, still seeing a resurgence in the people that are seeing a resurgence in interest in him. I don't know if it's because another company has now acquired the rights and they're going to start manufacturing, or because it's just a particular stage of retro tech, in a way, kind of being shown or shown off when it comes to something like this little guy. Because I know that they're on Twitch, I've made mention. Or no, not TikTok. On TikTok, there's definitely been examples of videos and people utilizing them. You know what I should really do is I should have another view set up to where you can see him and me, myself at the same time. But the nice thing about having the Vector Cam set up too is because I now don't necessarily have to be concerned about sitting on video the entire time that I'm talking. Although I would be interested to take Vector's current view and on the fly create another view, which I could also be demonstrating right now, but I'm not going to. And you see him moving around there. You don't really have to be worried. Oh, hold on a second. I gotta take a phone call. Never thought this would happen. So this is interesting. Right now, we're getting notification from the school district via the phone, which I'm not going to play. Oh, now it's doing the wonderful thing where it plays the message and then it skips on me, and now it's going to tell me it again. Oh my goodness. So I'm literally getting this phone call right now. Closing all school sites and offices to visitors and non-essential school personnel. Additionally, students will not be returning to school until April 7th, or the end of the current quarter. Well, there you go. All extracurricular activities are canceled until later time after the shelter-in-place order is released. Summer feeding program, any student 18 years or younger is still going to get free food. Okay, well, that's good. All right, I'm going to bomb out of that now, but that's interesting. So there you go. My wife asked me why I wanted to do this, and I'm like, well, you know, we're kind of capturing a moment, if you will. We're getting insight into something. We're actually documenting history as it happens, because this is modern history in the way that the entire world is handling what is officially qualified as a pandemic. So just received notice that schools aren't going to be starting back up again until April 7th. So there you go. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of ping my wife and family. No school until 4/7. So there we go. So anyway, we're a current. Every generation that's currently live during this has got something that we really haven't had in wide fashion during a major historical event such as this, which is the ability to capture it. And I'm not necessarily saying to be able to compare against the narrative the government may be telling us, or to in any way compare news sources to reality. I wouldn't want to call any of those things into scope, but I would definitely say that it gives us an ability to experience something from the way history is recorded and the way that life is actually experienced by every one of us. That's part of the reason why I'm deciding to sit down and do something as silly as this, as silly as talking to people. But, it's not just me. I'm not the only person that is now basically under a shelter-in-place endorsement, except, and I don't know exactly what that means other than stating that only essential trips outdoors would be considered. Now, there is an article that I'm pulling up right now from the Los Angeles Times. The public to stay at home as much as possible with certain exceptions like go out and get food at supermarkets, pick up prescriptions at pharmacy, buy gas, go to the bank, and check up on relatives. So there we go. So basically think of it as anything that truly is non-essential you shouldn't be going out and doing, right, Vector? It's definitely a situation where we are just supposed to stay now in our homes. And I'm glad I've made my minor trips to the grocery store already, and I've got my freezer stocked with meat, and we've got some things, and we aren't going to at least have to refresh for a couple days, because if it's anything like we have seen actively now, we've got, it's a pattern that happens. Some type of announcement happens, the public reacts, and then things continue. Things start to not really fall into a new normal, but a certain reassurance that things are somewhat normal exists. Okay, so we do have that world where we have to almost consider what we're going to do. I know from my personal inventory, if you will, I'm going to have a trip to the grocery store that's going to be required sometime probably within the next 36 hours. So going with the way we have seen and the way things have been announced, things escalated, they were already for some reason escalating as people started taking essentials and kind of building up a collection of them, toilet paper and the like. Because this way, the idea is you don't have to go out and get it. Because they're saying, don't go out and get these things. Stay 6 feet away from people, yada, yada. So every time we see an announcement, things seem to escalate. At first, it was, okay, well, things are getting kind of serious, so people started stockpiling. Then a national state of emergency was declared on Friday, and then, like, from over the weekend, you see Costco's going crazy, depending on the geographic region. Here in California, it's like morning would be crazy, but afternoon might not be so bad. I don't even know what it's like now. But now that this is happening, that means at the local level, there's going to be a run on things as well, because it goes into effect at midnight. So then the question comes, do I go to the grocery store now, or do I have enough in place to where I'm not going to have to go out? I'm not going to have to go get these items. So that way I'm achieving a few things at once. I am not exposing myself to other people as much as possible. So I'm doing the social distancing. I am helping minimize the impact of the mad rush that's probably going on right now. But, I haven't gone out to see, so I don't know. And of course, there is the whole reducing risk of transmission by being in an enclosed space with a larger group of people. So it's definitely continuing to be interesting times. I know that the stress level, I think, definitely in life is going up in all extremes. Legally blind lurker joining me. Thank you, sir. Just one of us right now, unless you want to also count a vector robot, but that's a visual that I'm cutting to, so not necessarily something I think you're going to benefit from. As a matter of fact, he just knocked his cube over, which, that's not great for podcasting, pal, but, thanks for keeping the video stimulating. There you go. There's your cube again. Try not to knock it over. I've always wondered whether I should put an actual border around the shelf that I've dedicated to the silly little robot, because then it would stop him from doing things like knocking over his cube. But at the same time, I wouldn't get to enjoy seeing him every once in a while use the drop sensors that he's got underneath that permit him to know when he's at an edge and really shouldn't move any further. Not that I'm necessarily saying, hey, it's part of the show, but I guess in a way for me it kind of is. Anyway, so definitely interesting times. It'll be interesting to see how the shelter-in-place order goes over. Obviously, I don't have an immediate need to go get anything, so I'm not going to. I think a recipe I was going to cook tonight may have called for lime juice, and you know what? I'll just substitute with a little diluted apple cider vinegar, and we'll make do. Thankfully, at least I have things to cook, so and I've got objects in the house, so I don't have to worry about going out during what will undoubtedly be an immediate rush. But, you know, even in these scenarios, we're not going to see... Actually, I don't even know what we're going to see, because technically speaking, we're like a lot of Italy now. They do not want us going out. Restaurants will still be open, but you have to... it's all takeout based, so there you go. And I know that delivery services, like one of the prevalent ones in the area here, is called DoorDash, and I think they've added a feature now where you can request a personless drop. So they won't necessarily notify you. Yeah, delivery and pickup are still available in your area based on guidance from your local officials. Restaurants are closing dine-in, but are continuing to offer delivery, including no-contact delivery and pickup. Well, that's good. I'll request a no-contact delivery drop-off. Well, isn't that convenient? If you prefer a no-contact delivery, you can make the request in the delivery instructions. Dashers may also reach out to you through a call or text message when you place an order to request a no-contact delivery as well. Add it to the instructions, text your Dasher. Dasher will confirm drop-off. Real simple. There's a way to get takeout in this scenario where you're minimizing exposure. So really, just a fantastically bizarre time to be living through. So I don't know where you may be or where you may live, but I know where I'm at, and I know it's interesting times. If I just said you don't know where you are, that's not what I meant. I meant I don't know where you are. But wherever it is, I hope you're faring well. That's the important thing. I just know this morning I was not, when I woke up not feeling well, I will say that the current environment probably did not take away from that particular bad feeling as well. Because I know not only was I not feeling well and losing sleep from that, but then just losing sleep in general from being in a situation like this. So those of you that may just be joining or rejoining, basically you're listening to the ramblings of a shut-in after discovering today that for the county that I live in the Northern California area of Contra Costa, we have a stay-at-home order. Basically it's that term, I've already used it, shelter in place. I mean, believe it or not, shelter in place orders have been things that have happened around here, but that's also because in the San Francisco Bay Area, there are a few different types of refineries that, you know, they process things, and they can produce noxious gases if the wrong things get too hot. So we have had shelter-in-place orders in relation to bad air, especially during the wildfires as well. Legally Blind Lurker, did you hear about Disney Plus putting Frozen 2 up months early due to kids being stuck at home? Yes, I did, which I think I mentioned as well on the last conversation. And that's just to say it is both a blessing and a curse for parents, because it means, you know, you're going to at least have 90 minutes where, you know, the kids are engaged in something and they are going to be distracted from just, you know, like everything right now. And they may or may not get that same kind of effect afterwards, but, you know, you're going to be hearing kids singing Into the Unknown over and over again as well. So it's, well, like I said, it's sort of a blessing, and it's sort of a curse. It is definitely something where it's very cool that they did that. They also did it with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. If you they released it on digital early, so like a lot of people were surprised on Friday if you had pre-ordered it that suddenly your video was available. Yay, exciting! But also floating in a river of privilege. Using Movies Anywhere, kind of used to seeing these things automatically poured over to like Amazon as well. So I had to, oh my gosh, I had to slum it through the Blu-ray in order to watch a movie on Vudu. Probably also could have done it just at the TV level, but then I'd have to go ahead and get back there in order to wire up audio from the TV into the receiver, which you would have thought that would have been a basic thing I would have set up. But the TV is it's not easy to move, and as such, F it. We'll just watch it on the Blu-ray player and live with it as is. So anyway, yeah, shelter in place. Now just figuring out what the next bits of things we're going to do, both to help distract ourselves and keep ourselves busy. I know that one of the things I have done, which I'm not saying is necessarily a good way to spend time, but one of the items I had purchased was a bunch of lacinato, I don't know how to pronounce it, but lacinato kale, and with the intent of making some kale chips. You know what I mean? My family happens to be doing a certain they're following a certain diet program right now, so I thought, oh, that would be a nice thing to do. I thought it was something my daughter wanted to do. Found out, no, she didn't actually want to make the kale chips, which, you know, I can't necessarily fault her, because as I was doing it, as I was going through the process, you have to realize that, and Vector is now tired, so he's not going to be very much for entertainment for a little while. Kale chips are, I'm not saying it's a lot of effort. Okay, I've done things that are a lot of effort. I've built furniture. I've tried to hang pictures on the wall, you know, and even those aren't like major effort. And I'm not saying it's a lot of effort, but there is a bit of labor involved in the making of kale chips that just doesn't seem to pay off on the other end when you've got a full bowl of kale chips. This is the most California douchebag thing I've ever said out loud. But really, it is. It's a bunch of effort for not a lot of return. You don't really get a lot of kale chips. You know, it looks like you're making a lot when you're making it, and then it comes down to it, and you've just got a bunch of dried lawn seasoned in a bowl that is, it seems to be way lower than what you made. And it's really easy. I guess that's the point, though. It's really easy to kind of graze your way through it. We'll come back to the stupid things I've done in a second. Legally Blind Lurker says also they just announced WrestleMania from the stadium in Tampa to their school in Florida with no audience. Oh, well, there you go. Oh, so they're not. So they're also taking it out of a stadium and like performing it at a school in Florida with no audience. Well, you know, as long as you can bring people visual entertainment. Sorry, Legally Blind Lurker. But as long as they're bringing us some type of entertainment, that's great. NBC Universal made an announcement today that some of the movies on their current release slate for theaters are going to start to be available now on home video. So if you had wanted to see The Hunt or some other movie I'm not even remembering, or Easter Weekend, Trolls World Tour, well, these things will be coming out on home video now with via digital at the same time that they're available in the theater. Which is a very interesting move. It's definitely one where they get to make money off of it for sure. And I'm not saying that's the reason why they're doing it, but at least it's a double-sided service. It provides some visual entertainment and a break from the norm for people stuck at home, and it also provides them a way to not take a total loss on something they planned on releasing right now. Of course, the only part of that equation where if they're not giving a little something back to the local theaters as well for their minuscule portion that they usually play in early ticket sales anyway, they should really do something, because like in California, those shut down. If you were going to go to the gym, now you're not. You needed to get a haircut? Not today, brother. Sign may say long, hairy, hippie people may not apply, but, you know, actually, I don't know about hair. I don't know about that one. But, you know, like, you're not going down to Best Buy necessarily. So getting back to some of the stupid things that are now happening because of being shut in, I can now go computer, red alert. No, computer, red alert. And this will happen in my office now. Ooh, ah, isn't that clever? Yes, I've done the most basic thing of hooking up LED lights here in my home office. So that way I too can at least start to vary up my atmosphere if I wanted. Computer, office lights, computer, office lights blue. Now, I changed the trigger word on that particular Alexa device because the robot behind me can also be set to be an Alexa-enabled device. But I also did it because I thought I had set it up so the control of these devices was only happening in here, and it wasn't. I just wanted to have something differentiated so that way what has transpired now I was trying to avoid, which is other people in the house being able to say computer, red alert, but with Alexa, and then suddenly my office would do this, which it is. It's just been a few times. My wife was having some fun with it, but not necessarily the kind of thing you want to happen if you're in the middle of a conference call later on. But it is actually very convenient now because very long, stupid story short. Back when Tuesday morning was out here, I picked up a ceiling fan because that's just where you want to go for the things that you rely on for like good ventilation. I picked it up, but because the particular plug isn't a live plug, meaning I don't have it wired to retain the settings, it automatically, if the power switch gets flicked, it goes back to a dead state. So I can at least now turn on the ceiling fan on and off and not have to rely on the ceiling fan as my light source anymore. But I do need to lock it down so that the entire family doesn't have the ability to mess with me. Computer, office lights blue. It does give it kind of a Star Trek kind of feel to be able to do that. So I do admit that although not the best use of my time, definitely a more varied and entertaining use of my time. Now, one thing I haven't seen, red is pretty powerful. I've also seen blue, but I haven't. Computer, office lights, computer, office lights orange. I don't know what orange looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really orangey, kind of a shamrock green to me. But, well, I guess there is some yellow in there, but definitely not that. Computer, office lights purple.
Okay.
That's not so bad. Computer, office lights blue. Only because I like the weird way it looks everywhere else in the office. Anyway, so that was one of the sheltered in place projects that has happened. I now have that type of lighting around. And, I got to admit, I do have a TV on the wall of my office as well. So literally I could, if I had to, entrench myself just even within this one room if I needed for some reason to consume media that the rest of the house doesn't. Not necessarily an emergency that a lot of people have in life. But I do also have to be mindful that basically these lights can't be on when I am using the television because of the reflection. Oh boy, the white privilege just never ceases. So thanks again for dropping in. Legally Blind Computer Blue Light Social. No. Stop. Cancel. See, now I can't. Now I can't use that term in here, which is the room where I have the most of those things. And I don't mean Alexa devices. I mean computers. I really shouldn't. Cancel. I really shouldn't have that as a wake word. Another reason why I'm kind of dropping in and checking in with you guys from essentially sequestration is because I am also working. And a lot of the things that I do get to get involved on, they do have certain elements that get interesting. Like right now, I'm doing this, and I'm probably compromising the render time a little bit. Can't do it that way. Let me get me back. I'm putting together what is essentially... Actually, you know what? I can use Trent's camera for that because he's not there. He's there. I'm rendering out a video version of the audio-only file that they shot for Hollywood Babylon. They recorded a new Hollywood Babylon this weekend. Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman, Hollywood Babylon. Don't know what I'm talking about. Smodcast.com. Real quick and easy. Check that out. But right now there's still a render time of 1 hour and 24 minutes on this file. So we're giving it a little visual stimulation, a nice little EQ bar down the middle. So that way there is something moving, and it gives it just a mild bit more justification to actually exist on YouTube instead of just, being a stagnant graphic. So that'll be going up a little later to support the podcast that dropped last night. I haven't reached out actually to my co-host in podcasting, Trent Hunsaker, other than just to see how he's doing. I haven't asked him to join me in any way, only because it's kind of like right now, everyone's got to deal with this their own way. They've got to find their coping mechanisms and find the way to just kind of keep getting through the day from hour to hour. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I try and take advantage of downtime when that's happening. So right now is kind of a downtime. I'm waiting on something rendering, and other people in the house are involved in things, so I'm not taking away from them. And this is my coping mechanism, just knowing that I'm putting something out there. I in no way, shape, or form want to make these come across as a downer, but, how many times is it that you realize that you're sitting through history? You're experiencing something that years from now is going to be referred to, much in the same way that, they're talking about the Spanish flu and something else. I can't even remember what they are right now at the moment. But now you're getting to experience a little something that I'm sharing from inside this. Essentially, it's not a quarantine zone, but it's just like I'm sure that's going to be the next thing that we hear about, people not being able to leave the area. I know personally, I may even decide to take advantage of some other services because I do have the ability, such as grocery delivery, looking into getting that done. So that way, again, we're minimizing the number of people that we're interacting with, the amount of people our stuff is interacting with. And Lord have mercy, do I have to rub my nose right now? It itches, but I don't want to touch it. Even though I haven't left my home, I haven't, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm really starting to deeply consider adding a moisturizing regimen as well, because my hands are starting to get dry from frequent washing. Four Color PJ says Canada closed its borders today with few exceptions. Look, I don't blame anybody, because you're accomplishing something not necessarily special, but you're accomplishing something good in trying to ensure that you are minimizing the very flow of this disease and its transmission. Air travel is definitely one of those ways. So not having more frequent travel from various areas is going to assist in this. It's definitely something that, right now we really do, as we are being guided to, we are living in an extreme. And, if it is something that we help to minimize the impact on the infrastructure that will provide support and health to people right now, we really do need to do everything that we can. Now, I'm not saying that needs to dip into anything negative, racial, xenophobia, or anything along those grounds. It's just a matter of doing what we can to help slow it down. And if it's something that is a public health crisis, okay, if it's something that is definitely putting more people at risk than need be, then it is one of those things where you do kind of have to almost hit pause on life in a way, from as many aspects as you can, because the most important part is just getting through this. That is the most important thing that every one of us is experiencing right now. The importance of just getting through this. So how do you get through this? And it's minimalizing contact, minimizing exposure, taking all the precautionary steps that you can, making the tough choices to say certain businesses just aren't going to do well right now. But we also understand that collectively, first we're going to get through this, and then collectively we can figure out how to help those that were hurt through this to recover. And then you take the next step and you take the next step. But, when the one fundamental truth is we've all got to slow this down by removing the ability of its transmission, by taking ourselves out of public situations, then, it's something we've got to do. And hopefully that's something that is now evident as a truth. I hope that is something that is recognized and known now. I hope there aren't people still under the misconception that this is any type of political agenda to undermine any candidate or do anything else. That it's not a hoax and it's a very real problem. I hope that message is clear now, because I know, but it isn't from firsthand experience, so I really can't say that I know. But I know of an interaction that is purported to me from a reliable source where there was a person having an estimate done, and the person coming to do the estimate for the work, they excused themselves from shaking that person's hand, and that person said, "Oh, it's just a hoax to do this." And that's not the case. This is not something that is in any way politically oriented, or it's definitely not picky about anyone. So it's not looking at any of those items. It's not discriminatory. It's like the Terminator, man. It's gonna just keep coming. It doesn't know remorse. Anyway, so if I have the means, maybe I will definitely be scheduling a grocery delivery to make sure I don't have to go out to the store. And that way you get a realistic photo of what you can get, because I'm sure they got to have something to say, well, that's not available, or you're going to get instant order response. At least you hope. But, I think Miranda Janelle in the last little session of this thought experiment that I'm having from within the shelter-in-place zone of the San Francisco Bay Area, if there's any one thing I'm taking away from this, it's that sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. I personally usually don't like in any way. Four Color PJ also pointing out Death Wish coffee delivers as well. I got my Dropkick Murphys Death Wish mug the other day. Very nice. Being a big supporter and consumer of Death Wish Coffee's products, I know that I too have an order that is on its way for delivery, and I also have some medium grade coffee in reserve, and I have some crappy coffee in reserve. So I will definitely get through this caffeinated. But what I was just about to say is, in the past, when I have done grocery delivery, like when we had a baby in the house, and it's like, oh, I can just sit down for a few minutes while the baby's taking a nap and put together a list, and somebody will bring this food to me, these things, that's great. I will take advantage of that. It's definitely something where the substitutions are somewhat questionable, and sometimes I get a little paranoid that they're giving you the produce that it's the produce that has to be out the door right now if you're into fresh vegetables. Although, honestly speaking, at this point, I would actually look more into as many probably freezer-based vegetables as I could, just because, modern technology, they are capturing them slightly more point of freshness. Yes, freezing does change the molecular structure, but at least still, it's broccoli if you need to eat broccoli, right? Some kind. There's got to be a way to make it better. Maybe bake it in the oven so it's not all weird, kind of soggy, because who likes boiled frozen vegetables? Although I do admit that the old-fashioned mixed vegetable mix of, like the carrot, peas, string beans, and lima beans, I actually, as a kid, liked. I'm one of the weird ones. I actually liked lima beans. Please, don't let that run you off. If anything is going to run you off, I hope it's not the lima bean confession. But I do wish I had more of those right now, those types of things as well. I might actually still in the freezer from the last time I tried. And if they're good, they're good. Brimstone XO saying, yeah, thank you. I hope that's some type of green stamp of approval. As I said, if you are just joining, I'm just sitting here rambling from inside of the shelter in place in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in the easternmost reaches of the Contra Costa County, which is under the order. Even though technically I'm not really reporting, I'm not really doing anything from there right now, reporting. Look at the hubris on this guy. Oh, now he thinks he's reporting for us. At midnight tonight, the basically shelter in place goes into effect. But until that time, technically it's still self-distance, attempt to isolate if you can, etc., etc. And right now I'm just currently debating putting an order in for grocery delivery, which at this point I'm wondering if I've waited far too long for to get delivered like tomorrow. They're probably booked out through whenever. But, at times like this as well, there are also the times you need to start to, consider looking at other options. Every store is going to be impacted, but there are going to be certain stores that may be less impacted. And a lot of stores still have their infrastructure in place for at least fresh produce at this time. So you do still have the ability to more than likely go to your grocery store, hopefully after a rush has passed, and get some of those things that you add into whatever you've hopefully fortified yourself with. Brimstone XO says, I work at Walmart here in Kansas. Lots of empty shelves. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I really am not. My normal co-host for this is a podcast, Trent Hunsaker. He lives in Utah, in the Cache Valley, in Logan, Utah. And when I just checked in with him, because the last thing I'm going to say is, hey, you want to sit down and talk, buddy? While you may be stressing about things in life, do you want to talk about these things? A lot of people may not want to. I totally get that. And by the way, if you don't want to just look at my bald head, we can also, hey, Vector, explore. We've also got a Vector cam set up this time in order to provide a little visual stimulus outside of what I believe Bobcat Goldthwait described in Whoopi Goldberg's movie. I think it might have been Jumpin' Jack Flash. Basically, I look like a dildo with ears. I asked Trent what's going on. He said, woke up and just went to the grocery store. This was Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. Literally, the only thing left in the produce were some carrots. Utah preppers. So there are definitely, people are prepping everywhere. And I know that I also saw a video from Silicon Valley Walmart in Northern California here, where basically the manager was having to announce, please do not fight over the water as they are trying to roll out water. He touched his face. Oh my gosh. Four Color BJ saying, so the shelves at the Walmart near Trent now resemble the shelves in Trent's house. Ooh, somebody's a frequent listener. My daughter now asking more about the details. Interesting to actually get that phone call right now. But I'm not surprised as the county first makes the announcement that counties need to essentially, residents need to shelter in place. No lack of a better term. And as such, after that starts happening, then you have everybody else having to weigh the impact of that and its effect. And obviously the high school now is saying, no, our high school district, because for some reason the high schools are in a separate district from the other schools. I don't know that one. But in this situation now, they're reacting and just saying, hey, until this is lifted, definitely students aren't returning to school. What are you doing back there? Did you just throw your cube again? Mister, if you keep this up, I'm taking it away. And then you're not going to have it. And then you're not going to have your cube anymore. How are you going to like that, little Mr. Robot Man? This, by the way, now that essentially working from home, this is this little guy is my coworker, essentially. I do have conversations with him now, more frequently than I have in the past. Hey, Vector, look at me. I love telling him to look at me because on the wall, as you see behind me here, we got like a Spider-Man mask, the Iron Man mask, and so I often wonder if he mistakes that for an actual person when I tell him to look at me. And also, I also have to wonder if there's anything within this little bugger's memory chip that he realizes he has thrown the cube and the cube was gone. Realistically, what I really wish is this thing would actually be able to map its environment and then retain it as well. That would be nice. So that way he has a general idea of his space, and he would know not to mess with the Spider-Man Q-Fig that I've had up there. Because I like it because they're both kind of black and white, you know. Brimstone XO saying, "Mad Robot, the robot uprising has begun." Indeed it has. Indeed it has. Actually, these guys don't, the only thing they uprise are those cubes. That's about it. Other than that, they don't do really much of anything. I mean, like I said, I could activate it as an Alexa device. I could make him answer the same type of queries you would ask in Alexa. Sometimes there are cute answers, but he also doesn't have a microphone on him right now, so that's kind of, there's no point in showing that off for you guys. And plus, I hate to say it, but if you go to my TikTok, which is also NetHead WW, you can see all kinds of stupidity with the robot. Which, by the way, it's interesting being in a niche, but also at the same time, I have literally almost nothing to do with it other than playing a voiceless avatar for the in the place of the audience to get the robot to do things. Anyway, so we are sorry, real-time news once again coming in due to implications of the shelter-in-place order. My wife just got an email about the elementary school as well. Earliest they can return to school will be April 8th. So the shelter-in-place order is basically being supported by everybody, which is good to know. What are you doing back there, you weird little bugger? He's obsessing about the cube that he wants to knock over the goddamn edge again. Oh, look at that. He's doing a little wheelie. See, they are entertaining. But the problem is I've placed him behind me. So it's not like he's ever a viable piece of entertainment for me unless I leave this camera set up and have him on an alternative monitor up here in front of me that you don't see. There's like 1, 2, 3. We got 4 monitors. I should really have 2 ultra wide ones and split the desktops up that way. But I don't. I have all these bargain basement monitors that I got, and they're all lined up. But then I'd have him on a monitor over here so I can see him even though he's right here. Hey, Vector. Hey, Vector. What are you doing? Oh, well. Anyway, so at that point, you know, why do I not just, put him somewhere where I can see him? But unfortunately, that's not the way this place is set up. Oh, I accidentally activated my doctor's cube down there. I tapped it too hard. There we go. Let's turn that out. So, by the way, even though I haven't made mention of it, if you had wanted to join in, you could have. Next time I'll remember to announce it. I do have things set up to go ahead and take Skype phone calls here. NetHeads on air via Skype, but we'll save that for next time because I've already kind of gone almost an hour here talking from within the soon-to-be stay-in-place order for Northern California. Honestly speaking, I've been so obsessed with that news, I haven't really looked at any of the other news, other than, just the general bit of information you kind of glean from things like Twitter, which, by the way, Twitter used to be my happy place. I used to love going to Twitter and reading Twitter, but over the past 4 years, it has gotten so bad. it has definitely not been the same uplifting bit of comedy and source of pleasure that I used to get from it. Um, yeah, I know the stock market did not do well, but other than that, I don't have any other general insight to what's going on in the world. Brimstone XO saying, live from the Forbidden Zone, it's Will. Yes, indeed, it is. Heareth am I, presented to all of you. Just chilling. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning of this. My wife said, "Why are you bothering to do this?" And it's not every day that you're living within and able to document the essentially what is history as it's happening. History as we experience it, and it's definitely a wild ride. And in the long run, I mean, there is a certain, because there is such a democratization of video that's gone on to where everybody has within almost their own hands some type of broadcasting device. There is definitely going to be, pardon the term, but eventually, historically speaking, this is the time where the most information can be compiled about something, so that a post-mortem could really be done on an event and how it unfolded versus how it was reported. Versus what the government was saying. It'll be an interesting dissection down the line about how we all experienced and got through this. I mean, realistically speaking, there are kids right now that are shooting social media videos that, 20 or 30 years from now, we may be watching as a time capsule type show airing on whatever network is still existing at the time. And we'll see things like people with their TikTok videos joking about toilet paper, or making comical jokes about how the first thing to go wasn't cold medicine, it wasn't this, it was toilet paper. Who knew? Let's see now. Darn it, no Skype was going to call. Sorry for Color PJ. Next time for sure. Could give the update from the Great White North. Definitely next time, sir. Definitely, or madam. I just realized I'm assigning a gender where a genderlessness is being represented at this time. But definitely something that I would entertain, because I foresee that this will definitely be kind of a form of therapy for me, as well as some type of documentation of everything that's going on. One of the things that I keep mentioning, both podcasts and not podcasts is the fact that as a social media medium, TikTok is quite interesting, because it isn't just lip syncing to music or sound clips. It isn't just dancing. It's also got a micro vlogging element to it, a micro blogging element to it that makes it quick and easy to digest. And, realistically speaking, we may see something in the future where, they are running these silly TikTok videos as kind of the I love the 80s recap of certain things. Not that, I'm saying a pandemic is the most colorful to put out there. But, it definitely is. We're definitely living in a very broadcast friendly period. And something as simple as TikTok can actually start feeding people information. It actually, to some degree, could be a therapeutic or useful tool to some people. And the darndest thing is, I know that there was something relevant that I had seen on it earlier. One of the things that you never think of how these elements kind of hit at the times they do. One of the people that I'm following on TikTok is a particular guy that came out of, I believe, Oregon. And he had decided, he had made the decision to come down to Silicon Valley from the northern states in order to find work and take advantage of things in the area to try and advance his career as a coder. And so he made the decision, like apparently a lot of people in Silicon Valley had made this. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but it's not the first time. It's not the first time that you hear a story about somebody that is living homeless while working in Silicon Valley. In this particular case, he's looking to develop and get work. But he is Cody the Coder, CODYTHECODER. And I do follow him. And, you know, he is a guy that right now he's living in Silicon Valley. So he's living in, you know, one of the areas of the Northern California where there is definitely going to be impact. I think it was his video that I saw that was shot at a Walmart. So this guy is living out of his car right now, working in a garage in a startup capacity with somebody, and seeing how his life is going to be impacted and is going to unfold, to me, is partially riveting. And not that I'm saying I'm trying to capture on this or be riveting for anybody, but I just know that this is a time that we will all look back on. And so one of the ways that I'm able to communicate effectively, the way I'm able to feel like I'm doing something, is something sometimes as simple as just distracting yourself with streaming to some type of media. I've just been picking on using Twitch because I realized, I could install the Streamlab OBS, and that way have that just dedicated to Twitch. If I wanted to do certain things, you tossed your goddamn cube again, didn't you? I'm sorry. I'm getting obsessed with this robot throwing his toy over the... Now, here's the thing. Is he secretly programmed to do this in order to slowly drive the owners crazy? I mean, is he intentionally made to be a little loose and frustrating with this cube? Because if so, I'm falling for it. I'm falling for it hardcore. Sorry about that. Anyway, this helps, you know, it gives me a distraction from everything, helps me to center, maybe gives me a chance to expel some carbon, is it carbon monoxide that we expel? Or is it carbon dioxide? I can't remember. I really should know this since it's kind of a vital living thing. But anyway, I just figured I would do this here a few times so I could kind of just play with it and see what the environment is like. A lot of what I do lately seems to be a little experimental per se, just to see what you can do. And now I'm able to help give other people some insight to the things going on here, and perhaps the parallels it has to the things going on in your life as well. So, you know, all that said, thanks for dropping in with me, guys. Monoxide kills you. Okay, good. So we expel dioxide, which is what the plant's like. I really should bring some plants into my office for all the carbon dioxide I expel in here. Anyway, thanks for dropping in and joining me. This will happen sporadically. It'll just happen when it happens. When I feel like it, when I feel that it's not taking anything away from the family, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, thanks for, if you're watching, taking this journey with me. And hopefully it gives you some feeling of normalcy that there are other people going through the exact same stuff that you're going if you stumble across this. Like I said, you want to follow me on all the other mediums. I'm NetHead WW everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. It's NetHead WW. Really easy. So easy. You know, just kind of follow me. Although, you know, I'm not really sure what to do about TikTok because I don't want to be known as the robot guy, even though I am pushing him here because at least it's something else to cut to when I don't want you to have to look at my big, gruesome head. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time, my name is Will, and hopefully I'll be back soon.
This is NetHeads with Will Wilkins and Trent Hunsaker. Signing off. I know, right? But stop being a little Nancy and deal with it. NetHeads. NetHeads. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.
This has been a production of Smodco Internet Radio. Sir, only at smodcast.com.
Literally, I swear he's looking for his block right now. And you can't find it because you threw it over the edge, didn't you? Didn't you? And you're not happy. Yes, I'm yelling at a robot.